Let's rock.
Welcome back, everyone, to
Nerd shit in the dark. And we are your hosts, Chase the Chaz Skripek.
And I'm Braden the Brad Neilster, coming at you.
We are glad to be back from you. You look like you're in your basement. Are you in your basement?
I'm not in my basement, actually.
What?
I'm in my room.
Your room?
I know it seems like I'm in my basement because it's very dark.
It is very dark.
The shitters can't see me, but we're on Discord chat right now, video chatting.
Mm-hmm.
So Chaz can see me.
I can see him. I can see him at an angle I don't know if I've ever seen you at, really.
Yeah, it's just my face, part of my chin's cut off, and I'm just staring soullessly into you.
Oh, wow. I can see your whole chin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see you up down to your
You can
chest.
see it all?
I can see your penis, dude. Put it away. Yeah, your camera is just really good. A lot better than you thought it was.
My penis would not show up that way.
You should roll with that. You should have been like, yeah, my penis is so big you can see it from here.
From outer space, pretty much.
You're a modest man,
yeah.
Braden the Brad Neilster.
That's right. You know, why brag? The braggers have something to hide.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I'm always like, dude, my dick's huge.
Yeah. Have you ever been to my room?
Have I ever been in your room? No, I don't think in all the years that we've been friends, have I ever been in your room.
I never invited you up to my room. We only ever hung out in my basement.
Yeah, for all the 32 plus minus whatever amount of years.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I don't bring any friends back into my room. My room's not like a place where people can hang out, because a guy who was handicapped used to live in our house before we lived here, and they had an elevator installed because our house is a 2-story house, and the elevator takes up almost half my room. So it's kind of bad to have guests in here because it's pretty much just my bed and a few dressers and no space to walk.
Well, the next time I come over, I want you to treat me to a little tour of your bedroom. Because I've only ever poked in it, and right now I can only imagine what the area around you is like.
What kind of secrets I hold?
Yeah, I mean, do you truly know a man if you've never been in his bedroom?
Good question to pose. You don't know what I'm hiding here.
You've been in a lot of my bedrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of them.
Pretty much all of them. Yeah.
I did have an apartment in DuBois at one point. Hard to call that room my bedroom. Yeah, you have been in all my bedrooms.
Overseas?
What's that?
Was that when I was overseas, or was that before we met?
Oh, that was long before we met.
No. Well, yeah. I was definitely still there. You just didn't see me at the time. You just didn't know me at the time, so you didn't register that it was me.
Yeah, you're just in my bedroom. It's like, who's this fucking stranger in my bedroom?
Yeah, I just saw Smeagol run past.
Yeah, he's gonna try to break out of here because I just closed the door. I might have to get up and let him out. They seem to fight their way through if they can. I think I will help them. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
What are you doing running away? You didn't get out.
Sounded like you were speaking Mandarin.
It sounded like I was speaking Mandarin?
Yeah, to me, like it was only picking up half your voice. It was just like, well,
that's good. I didn't want to come back and be like, yeah, folks, I yell at my cat sometimes.
Yeah. I can't speak Mandarin if anyone guessed. I just made up gibberish there.
That was a very racist Mandarin attempt you just had.
Me. I was just repeating what you sounded like to me.
That's fair. I'll hear it back. I can't wait to hear it back and see what picked up. What's new with you? What's going on? What's shaking?
Well, moving on to the next chapter in life. Going to be moving closer to Pittsburgh here. Won't give the exact location so people won't stalk and kill me. But not that we're that famous, but maybe someday. Don't want to give out too many personal deets.
No.
Yeah, got a new job as a substitute, like a building substitute teacher.
Yeah.
which is like a substitute teacher, but you show up every day.
Yeah.
And Kaylee got an English teaching job. So,
Correct. Congratulations to both of you guys.
yep, I just finished my training today. It told me basically I'm not allowed to do anything in my own personal life that could compromise the image of the school. So I don't know how long this is going to last when we're still in underground production right now, but if it ever gets busy,
Well,
he's making swears.
it's a good thing that you go by an alias on this show, and that's
right. It's like not even me.
it's not
and I don't give out any.
And that's us putting that
details.
out into the world. That Braden the Brad Neilster is a made up name for this podcast. That's not even remotely this guy's name.
Yeah, Braden the Brad Neilster is a persona.
Yeah.
I go by an entirely different name.
Braden's real name is Frank Desmond.
Don't tell them.
Frankie D. Well, you
Frankie
know.
D.
I'm just saying, if there's a school
You want me
out
to tell
there
them
that
your real
has
name?
if there's a school out there that has a Frankie D and they hear this podcast, they should fire him. Is all I'm saying. Right? You.
Can I tell the chitters your real name?
Sure. It's like
Delmont.
giving somebody my dwarf name or something.
It's Delmont de l'Aquarius.
Wow.
Yeah.
Delmont de l'Aquarius. I mean, wow, you gave my name away, you fucking asshole.
Right. Delmont. Call you Day Day for short.
But I go by Chase the Chaz goddamn Screepack on this.
Yeah.
Could you imagine somebody just like a fake? Okay, it's my fake name and my fake last name is Screepack. It's like that's way too strange to be fake or made up. Yeah, yeah, but like, you know what I mean. What do you? What's new in your nerd world, man? What's new in your nerd world? Let's just dive into it.
So my new nerd shit, I have 2 video games I want to talk about.
Nice.
I might talk about a handful of series, not diving in too quick to them.
Sure.
Like, quick mentions for the few series I've watched. Some of them have been mentioned on the pod before, but
yeah,
I can give my perspective since I'm watching them now, and my opinion's better anyways, inherently. So
hopefully, unless it got worse.
No, not if I was watching it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. What about you? What have you been up to?
I've got something. I'm glad to hear that you have a few things, because I also, I came into this going, so I haven't finished anything I'm about to talk about, but I feel like I've put enough work into them to talk about them. But it's very rare for me to not have something, completely done to talk about on the show. But I do have, 4 things. I have a book.
Oh, yeah.
I have a show, I have a movie, and I have a game.
So I'm assuming, I guess we'll clarify it for the shitters. It's pretty much just going to be another new nerd shit episode. Just like a catch-up, general, what have we been up to kind of series that we've been wanting to talk about.
Yeah.
There's no, main theme.
No
movie
special. No special episode. This is just a basic episode of Nerd Shit in the Dark.
Right.
Which they'll know going into it.
Just a fully raw, uncut.
We have these from time to time.
Meaty episode.
Yeah, sometimes. And it's always these ones where we have a lot to talk about anyway that we're like, it's fine that we're not watching a movie and discussing it. Though I do have a couple more in the dark picks I'm excited to throw at you coming up.
Types of episodes are always the ones I think are going to be short end of being long, so we just talk more than we originally anticipated.
That is fair. We better dive into it now then.
Yeah.
Especially if we all got a lot of things. So you go ahead and start.
All right. Well, I will start with one of the games that I beat it's a week or 2 ago now. And I feel like you've definitely heard of it. Titanfall 2.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. I've played Titanfall 2.
Yeah?
I saw you were playing it.
Oh, good. So you can add on to some of the things I'm saying.
Possibly. It's been about a little over a year since I played it, but yeah, I played it. Yeah. Titanfall's pretty sick. Titanfall 2 is actually really sick.
It's super sick.
The story mode you're talking?
Yeah. That's all, dude. I played.
It's pretty, yeah. The first Titanfall game was strictly multi. It didn't have a story.
That's what I heard. Yeah, but like
Yeah.
no, I mean, the campaign's pretty much the only thing I'm going to talk about in Titanfall 2 because I couldn't
Yeah.
play multiplayer, which
Oh,
I'm
right.
sure veteran Titanfall 2 players are already aware of this, but I'll update the shitters on that later of why I couldn't play multiplayer because I did try. But yeah, so for like general background for the shitters, Titanfall 2 is a video game that's set in the future. There's this intergalactic war between the militia and I think they're called the IMC. Just these two big factions. You're the militia and the IMC are the bad guys.
Yeah.
And wars are fought with Titans, which are these AI powered mechs that are paired with human pilots, and they have like a neural link, kind of like Pacific Rim,
Yeah.
where it's an artificial intelligence. The Titan has its own personality, but you can get into the Titan to fight in missions, or you can be out of the Titan, and the Titan like supports you while you run around.
Dude, it's a beautiful combo of
It,
game style.
it really is. It takes the whole partner gameplay style to the next level.
And it does like such a good job balancing like whether you're playing first person shooter wise or whether you're in the mech suit, that both are really fun
Both
ways
are
to
unique
play.
ways. Yeah, both are fun, unique ways to play. And like it's fun. It's fun. Like I didn't feel like oh my gosh, there's another Titan level that I have to get through now, or oh gosh, like I have to be a first person shooter
Right,
now. Like
right,
both
yeah.
were both were really fun in their own ways.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm going to mainly talk about the campaign because the campaign is genuinely one of the best first person shooter campaigns I've ever played.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's all I've played of the second one is the campaign.
It's really impressive to hear that this is like technically their first attempt at a campaign in these games. And I won't go too much into like the lore of it because I didn't pay super much attention because it's
Yeah.
not that. It's a
And I
first
honest to
person.
God don't really remember most of it myself.
Yeah, but basically, like you're set to go to this planet that you heard the IMC had a research base on, but it turns out it's an ambush, and you get shot down. You're not a Titan pilot yet. You're just like a regular grunt, but you're like in the Titan pilot training program. But you get ambushed on this mission, and your commanding officer, who is a Titan pilot, dies, and you end up having to
Mm,
link with his Titan. Get out
right. I
because you're
forgot
the only
about
suit.
that.
Yeah, the Titan's name is BT. It's like BT 170 or something, but
Yeah.
we just call him BT. And he's very serious, but like in a funny way. A lot of the times, like the bond between them kind of
Yeah.
is cool because he's very serious in a robot way, but like you can tell he likes the pilot and
Yeah.
does his best to help him through situations.
Yeah, they're a good buddy comedy kind of duo for the game.
Yeah, so like he was like a good character, and the main character you play is voice acted, so you're not just like a silent
Right.
protagonist either. Like you're having conversations with BT throughout the game.
He's kind of like
Um,
Baymax. Would you say that his
yeah,
personality is a lot like Baymax in a way?
a little bit like a combat Baymax. I guess
Yeah.
Baymax
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
become a
yeah, yeah.
combat
Yeah, yeah,
Baymax.
yeah.
But like a Baymax if he was like raised in the military.
Sure.
But yeah, just like serious but funny. But yeah, so one of the aspects I think is really cool about this game is the movement mechanics because when you're in first person shooter mode outside of the Titan, you have a jump kit which
Mm-hmm.
allows you to wall run and like double jump
Yeah.
and pick up like crazy speed, and it's like a very unique style of first person shooter where you're just like running off of walls and
Sure, it's
jumping
like you're
over
running around like
everywhere.
the Matrix.
Yeah, it really does make you feel like the Matrix. Like you can like shoot at people as you're running across walls.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of stealth that you can get into. Like
Yeah.
you have to constantly be moving. Like you can like post up and camp at a spot, but there are enemies that specifically are designed to rush you and flush you out of cover. So it's better to like be running. But I just had a blast
Yeah.
with all the different comp. Like you feel like you said in the Matrix, like a ninja almost, just running around, gunning enemies down, very satisfyingly.
Very satisfyingly. And there's a lot of cool like abilities that you have as even just a first person shooter mode, like you like
Yeah,
special talents or whatever. I can't
yeah.
remember
You.
what they're
I
called,
mean,
but
I know you. I know you can cloak. There's a lot of different weapons and
the weapons
grenades
are
and
sick.
stuff that you can use. The weapons are really cool. Like, your general first person shooter futuristic weapons thing. There's snipers, assault rifles, submachine guns, all of that. But yeah, like if this game were just that, it would be a good game. I would consider it still a good
Sure,
game.
yeah, I would agree.
But then
And
it adds
then,
on the Titan aspect, which the Titans play
dude,
entirely differently. Where like they can't do like the running and double jump things because they're like big machines, but they
hmm,
all come with like different loadouts that you can use.
yeah,
You can switch your loadouts. So like some loadouts, your Titan can hover for a bit and like shoot from the sky. Some loadouts are like defensive oriented, where you set up shields and like try
yeah,
and like snipe people. Others
hmm,
are melee, like like there's one called the Ronin, which you get a sword and you go in and like melee
yeah,
fight Titans. It's very
yeah.
fun.
It's I love anytime you get to hop into your Titan is always a pretty fun time. I love the aesthetic of when they drop, like
Yeah,
when the enemy ones drop from the sky. It's so just like in your face, like boom, there's robots here. We gotta get into a robot fight.
yeah, and you got to be careful too because it happened like twice where I wasn't paying attention and one of them dropped right on me, and you take damage if that
Yeah,
happens.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and like when you're in first person shooter mode, your health regenerates eventually. But if you're in the Titan, your health doesn't regenerate unless you find battery packs, like health
Mm-hmm.
kits, basically around the map. So
Yeah,
you have to be careful about taking damage.
you'll be ready to abandon ship
Yeah,
in a moment's notice.
yeah, but it was fun getting to know all the loadouts and stuff because I originally stuck to one loadout for the
Mm-hmm.
Titan
Yeah,
that
me
I
too
was
for a while.
that I was like really good at because like it took me a while to figure out the other loadouts and I would get
Yeah,
my ass kicked. But then I played through the campaign twice because it's really not a long
yeah,
campaign.
it's like 10 hours maybe,
Yeah, I think I beat
maybe.
it. I think I beat it the first time in like 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah, I remember it being very small.
It's a very tiny campaign, but very memorable.
Yeah,
But yeah, my first playthrough I did hard, and my
nice.
second playthrough I did master, like the hardest difficulty,
Yeah,
and that was fun
I bet.
because
I only played it on hard. I didn't go up after that.
yeah, I only played it on hard. Then I tried to do the multiplayer, but then the multiplayer wasn't working, so I redid the campaign on master, and it was more of a challenge, but still
I bet.
doable.
Yeah.
Titan fights especially can be really hard.
Dude, I like how in the Titan fights they kind of not force you, but they want you to play with the loadouts. So they make you pick like the different ones for certain bot. Like I tried to use the one that I was so used to for the longest, and I got stuck in a boss fight. So I was like, okay, let's try this ability then. And you kind of miss. Oh my god, mix and match
Yeah.
different loadouts to win the fights.
Well, what kind of helped me too was when I was fighting enemy Titans, they all have like similar loadouts to like what your Titan has. Like you can use loadouts that enemy Titans use. So whenever I would fight certain Titans with certain loadouts, I would get my ass kicked. Like there's this one called the Scorcher that is a fire based one that like I did not know how to play at all because it's all about like you don't really shoot too much. You just like set fire to things and
Yeah,
try and like create traps and stuff. And I sucked at it whenever I used it. But when I fought enemy titans, they would like completely destroy me when they were using that loadout. And I
yeah,
figured it out because I was just not playing it correctly. And like if you learn how to set up traps and stuff, it just is devastating in certain fights.
yeah,
And so, like you learn how to play these other loadouts by fighting them and like seeing what the enemy AI does and what messes you up so much. Because you can technically do that straight back to them. You just have to get good.
Hear that, everyone? Braden says, "Get good.
That's
If
good.
you want to play Titanfall 2, get good."
Yeah. So yeah, like the combat, both the Titan and first person shooter combat is really fun. It also has one of the best levels I've ever played in a campaign of a first person shooter ever. where you'll probably remember this.
Hopefully.
You're searching like this destroyed factory for one of your missing guys who has information that you need, and you discover it's essentially a time traveling device. It's called like like a fold device.
Uh-huh.
And in this level, you can use this. It takes over the quick slot that your grenades are usually in, or not. No, I lied. It takes over the quick slot that your cloak is normally in, so you can't cloak anymore. But instead, you can switch between time. So, like present day, you're in the abandoned, blown up factory with just like scavengers and animals and like old robots in it, and then you can travel back in time to when the factory was still running and there's like security guys and stuff there.
Yeah.
Uh, and you can do this seamlessly. Like instead of cloaking, you can just switch back and forth between times. So like if you're in one time, like in the room and in one time era and like it's getting too much, you can switch to the other time era and there will be different enemies there.
Yeah.
And like you're fighting in two different times basically. And like trying to get past obstacles and stuff. Like one room will be on fire, so you switch back in time and it's normal and you can walk through it and then like switch back again as soon as enemies see you.
Yeah.
So like, and it's fun seeing like the reactions of the security guards when you like flip back and forth in time, because to them it looks like you're teleporting.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah,
much. You would disappear and then you'd appear behind them.
Sure. Yeah.
And it was super, super fun. Like
it's funny you say that level, because that was the only level I could even really picture in my head, is that factory. I was like seeing it in some of like I guess they're not puzzles, but there's certain like you got to follow how the campaign plays out, so it gets kind of a little puzzly at times.
Yeah, it's all like jump puzzles, pretty much movement puzzles, like Assassin's Creed, which even those I found really, really fun. Like I could use the movement system for days. It was just so seamless.
Yeah.
And once you got good at doing it, you felt like a badass.
Yeah, it's a really, really, I think it's a really fun and kind of like underrated game, I guess. Like I didn't even, because somebody told me it was really good, so I checked it out. I had the first Titanfall, but like, and it was fun, but it was all just multiplayer, so I didn't really think anything of it. And the second one came and went, and someone recommended it to me. It's usually on Steam for relatively cheap, like $5.
Oh yeah.
And boy, do you get a fun time out of it.
You sure do, even with just the campaign. Now, I will say with multiplayer, I wanted to do the multiplayer. Like, I had heard that there was controversy with Titanfall 2, but I didn't really look into it too much. I just thought it was like a developer issue, which I should have looked into it because it would have explained it to me a lot quicker. But basically, you can't play the regular multiplayer, at least on PC, on Titanfall 2, because for several years now, there has been a massive DDoS attack on the multiplayer servers. Like there's some hacker or something that is doing a denial of service request attack on their multiplayer servers. And so it overloads their servers and you can't connect to a match. Like I tried connecting to matches and it would say how much time I had left until I would like connect to a match. And then once it got to 0, it would go back up to 90 seconds. And it would just do that continuously and never let you into a lobby. There's one time I managed to get into a lobby, but then I was kicked out like right away.
Yeah, that sucks, man. I never even attempted the multiplayer on the second one. I've played quite a bit of the first one's multiplayer because that's all it was. It does have a pretty. If it's anything like the first one, if anybody can ever play it again, I don't know if you can. Really, really fun time. I mean, they have some really great type of matchmaking matches that you can play against other people in first-person shooting and jumping in mechs and fucking each other up.
Yeah. Well, and I guess this is where the controversy comes from because they say EA owns the rights to Titanfall, and they've basically given up on trying to fix any issues with it. They've moved on to other games. So, like, the multiplayer thing is something that is fixable.
They just
because like those kinds of attacks, those kinds of attacks happen to other games all the time. But there's like an active moderation or development team that works on fixing that.
Yeah.
And EA decided to basically abandon the game's multiplayer and move on to Titanfall 3. So there's only, as far as I'm aware, one way
Did they? I
to
don't think
actually
they
play
are
multiplayer.
working on Titanfall 3.
Well, that was the excuse they gave, pretty
Well,
much.
I was gonna say I think they abandoned ship like EA always does.
Yeah, probably. I don't see too much optimism in the community about it.
No.
But yeah, so there's only one way, I believe, that you can play multiplayer on Titanfall 2, and it's like a third-party app that you have to download that is like its own private servers that is just like independently like player run.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't. I was like, by that time, I had moved on to my next game. So
Been there, yeah.
yeah,
Totally get
but
that.
overall, like even if like it's not a long campaign, but it's also not a very expensive game on Steam.
No.
That like I would even just recommend it for the campaign itself, just because
I really think
it's very fun.
It's like $5, and honestly, for a game like that, it's probably the best $5. But it's the best $5 you'll ever get out of
Especially
a game.
if you're into first-person shooters, because it's like a really good take on a first-person shooter.
Yeah. You know, if EA was smart, they would make Titanfall 2 free to play and just take money and like fix the multiplayer and make it like like a PUBG and a fucking Fortnite, like, and just rake in the cash, because it's good. It is a fun multiplayer or just game in general.
Oh, definitely. And like I see despair from the community, from the Titanfall community all the time about how they just gave up on such a great game.
Yeah.
Because like people genuinely love it. And yeah, EA is not EA does not have the most stellar reputation in the gaming industry for being a good company to manage projects.
Well, and they made decisions when the first one came out, like, directly with Xbox, that just kind of really, because now you can play it everywhere. But when Titanfall and 2 came out originally, it was strictly on the Xbox One, and they fumbled it. They put out this new game that was supposed to be like the new Halo. That could have been the new Halo, but it didn't have a story. But it didn't have a story, so it was just multiplayer. And they were ahead of their time, because if they would have just released it free, if Titanfall could have been the first free-to-play, just multiplayer kind of game, I bet it would have been very successful. But instead it was like, here's this $60 game, it's just multiplayer, and then in a few years we'll put out a sequel where there's a campaign. And by then, we've already scared most people off, so who cares?
And then we're not going to fix the multiplayer on that game, which is what our original player base only knew the game as.
Right, we're not even going to look at that. So... yeah, it really is a sad situation, because it is a phenomenal game.
Yeah, I mean, I would still recommend it. Besides all the controversy, just be aware, like, if you want to play multiplayer, you have to, I think the app is called North Star. You might want to look into that, but like, you can play it. It's just not through the official EA servers. Yeah,
seems like a lot of work.
Cool. Yeah, that was Titanfall 2. That was my first nerd shit.
Okay. Well, you know what? I wasn't sure what order I wanted to talk about any of my stuff in, but I think that your topic directly, kind of in a weird way, relates to my topic. So I'm gonna go with this one first. So I recently have been watching, and I've completed the first season of it's newer. It's a newer Gundam series. It's Gundam Witches. I think it's called The Witch from Mercury or something like that. Witches of Mercury. I've heard a lot of good things about it over the couple of years. It's a relatively new Gundam series.
That is a good segue from Titanfall 2 into Gundam.
Totally is. Totally. I was just like, okay, no better way to do another mech thing. And I haven't dabbled in Gundam in a really long time. Like when I was a kid, Gundam Wing was on Toonami, so I did catch like some of that. But you're talking like I'm 6, 7, 8 years old, not really understanding the story. But I do have a back history with Gundam. Like, I had toys, I had the Gundam figures that I'd get. I had a friend who got me Gundam figures for every one of my birthdays, but I never really followed any of the shows.
I never followed Gundam. I was
going to ask if you had any kind of history with Gundam at all.
I just know the references. I know like the transforming sequence and stuff.
Sure.
But no, I never got into the actual Gundam series.
Yeah, I mean, they're all kind of different, and I think they all take place, not all of them, but certain ones take place in just different universes entirely. And there's a fuck ton of them. I remember there was one that I watched when I was a kid where they were all like chibi. Like all the Gundams were chibi characters, and it was like a cutesy one, but even that was good.
Yeah.
And I like. So I've heard about this Witches for Mercury or Witch for Mercury series for a couple years now, and I heard it's one of the really good ones. So I was like, all right, let's dabble in some Gundam. And like I said, I'm 12 episodes in, and well, I'm actually 13 episodes in. Well, actually, I'm 14 episodes in, but I'm only going to be talking about. I will explain that. So there is an episode that counts as episode 0. So I watched that first, and then the first season takes place, which is 12. And then I did go on to watch the 13th episode yesterday, so I would be a step ahead of the first season finale. But basically what I'm going to talk about tonight is the first season. So in this Gundam world, we're following it's like a school. It's like they go to this like mobile suit school.
An anime that takes place in a school?
Totally.
That's groundbreaking.
Well, you say that, but hear me out. Gundam usually doesn't take place. Like, this is the first time Gundam is going in the direction of they're students at a school, because usually it's like they're in space wars, they're dealing with some real shit.
I assumed it was like a soldier type thing, like a military type thing.
Totally. Which it kind of is. The school is like a military school, but it's a school setting.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The school setting, you could fucking write out the school setting and nobody would notice, because there are no scenes of these kids like actually in class. If there are, it's in like quick montages. Like, you could almost forget like, oh, these are kids at a school, but that is the backdrop of most of the series. But
do they have Gundam class?
What's that?
Do they have Gundam class?
So it's a little weird. Let me set up the backstory to all this. So not every mobile suit in a Gundam universe is a Gundam. Like, a Gundam is a specific type of mobile suit in this universe. In all Gundam universes. So in this one specifically, in the prologue episode, the episode 0 that you watched, they explained that Gundams became outlawed and they shouldn't exist, and they like shut them down, so people could still have mobile suits, but they couldn't have Gundams, because Gundams, they take the life force from their pilots. So they claimed it to be unethical and cut.
I never knew that.
Yeah, so they cut it off.
Like AI?
What's that?
Are they like AI? Are they like sentient, or are they just like...
They are. Gundam are sentient, but like, at least in any of the ones that I've ever watched, other than that chibi one, they don't like have speaking personalities per se. There's just like the characters talk about them having, existence, like life. Like, the one in this series specifically refers to her Gundam as like her sister. Like, but like, it doesn't talk or anything. Like, it's just a mobile suit, but like, it connects with them on some sort of level. And in this world, it was basically killing their pilots. So like, they ended up getting outlawed in like the prologue, and all these people like basically attack the Gundam builders and like kill them. And our main character is the daughter of one of these people who made Gundams, and her and her mom get away, but everybody else, like her dad and all these people, get fucking killed. And then it shoots like 15 years later, and the girl, she has her Gundam still, but like, she's the only one with a Gundam, and she goes to this mobile suit school, and she has to kind of like hide that it's a Gundam. She doesn't actually know it's a Gundam, but her mom, she knows. She knows.
She's aware.
Dude,
they're not getting it past the mom.
That was a lot of exposition. That was a lot of exposition, but in all that, so then the daughter goes to the school 15 years later. You don't really know where we're going from this point. And it is just like a Game of Thrones level. There's like families at the school who are like battling with, whose parents are all like these families that are controlling the government. So like, they're all kind of using their children to kind of handle political debates and shit. It's wild. It gets real wild. And you're like, you don't know who's a good guy, who's like, you know who the good guys are. But then there's all these other side characters that you're just like, is this person good, bad? I have no fucking clue. Even the mom, I'm like, I don't know if this bitch's mom should really be trusted at this point, the main
So it's
character's mom.
unclear if they have hidden motivations.
For sure, throughout the whole first season. And a lot of the first season is like, girl goes to school, girl makes friends, girl gets into duels. Like at the school, if somebody challenges somebody to a duel, they have to like get in their suits and duel each other. So like a lot of it's like episodic, like, oh, this family member wants to duel you because you. The girl basically comes in and beats like the top guy at the school, and then is named like the top duelist at the school like day one.
Oh, immediately?
Like immediately, because that's how good a Gundam is. She's the only one that has like an actual Gundam. It's one of those anime that they're not afraid to make the main character awesome without being like, yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh's fucking awesome because of this. No, he's just a fucking great duelist, and this girl just has a great Gundam. And it goes like that for a lot of episodes where it's just like small stakes political family shit mixed with kids dueling at the school, and it's animated gorgeously. Like it's such fine mech battling, and even when it's people, like it looks very good animated wise. But when the mechs are out like fighting each other, it's pretty sick. Especially when I think back to being a kid and watching Gundam Wing and like how animation has just advanced,
progressed. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful, 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 beautiful.
I haven't seen like really any mecha animation, so I'd be interested to see what it looks like.
I'd recommend this one because like even so it's kind of like the first season of My Hero Academia too, where like everything going on for the first like 9-10 episodes is good, but you're also just like, where is this going? Like, what is going on here? Like, where's the bigger threat? And then like,
where's the main arc?
11 and 12 kind of like boom throws the villains in, and it was a sick little twist, and it gets real serious. Like, there's a lot of like really dark moments in this series. I mean, Gundam is one of the darker animes when you really look into it, but like, there's so many things just in the first 12 episodes where characters like did shit that just made me go like, oh fuck, ooh, that sucks for them, or you know.
What would you rate it as in terms of like violence and stuff? Like, is it graphic violence or is it just like cartoony?
For the most part, it's not graphic because it's robots fighting and shit. But I mean, yesterday I watched an episode.
People do die.
People do die. Yeah, people definitely die. Yesterday I watched an episode where a Gundam literally smashed a person and a bunch of blood shot everywhere. That doesn't happen super often, but it is capable of happening.
Right. It's theoretically possible all the time.
Yeah. I mean, there's this character. I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but basically, like, the guy in the first episode who is, like, the school dick, they really slowly build this character for... Even that in the second episode, he's in the duel, and you're like, oh, man, they've presented me with enough reason to make me not want this guy to lose. He's actually not half that bad. And then slowly but surely, they've been building his character. They still haven't quite got to where they're going with it, but, like, man, he's gone through some shit.
Main character arc.
It's a Zuko, but like, and I'd hate to say this because I will spoil something if I say it, but you could almost forget it. But essentially, this character winds up killing one of his close family members by the season finale, like by accident. And it's like, oh man, cut this guy a break.
This makes you feel bad for him in the end.
Yes, for this like character that within the first 20 minutes you're like, fuck this guy, and then all of a sudden
I'm guessing 15, 16 years old.
Yeah. But anime, 15, 16.
Yeah, that's usually like the average age for school animes.
Yeah, but he's huge. But like I said, and that's just one character. There's quite a few characters. Everybody's very layered. There's multiple characters even at this point that I'm like, I have no idea what this guy's end goal is at all, or this girl's end goal is. Essentially, when she wins her duel, the main character, she ends up becoming the bride, or she ends up becoming the groom actually of this guy's like betrothed, because she's the other main character and she's kind of like a cool bitch, but she never wanted to marry this guy anyway, so she was just like, I hate this system. So then they have like a bride and groom friendship, her and the main character, after she wins her. So they're like still engaged to be married. I don't know where that's going to go. I don't think either of them are actually gay for each other, but that's where the story's going. And they start like a business to make Gundams to make medical use of them so they don't kill people. There's a lot going on with this show. And I'm telling you, for the first 10 episodes, I was like, what is going on? Like, what is the point here? But the
I
season
really
finale
just,
ended
yeah,
really well.
I really just assumed it was like a series about fighting robots and like military conflicts, but it sounds like there's a lot more going on.
And it usually is, and it still is. I mean, the first season ends basically with a terrorist attack on like one of the companies that these students make, and because the students are in charge of companies. All of a sudden, at one point, I'm just like, what? They're in charge of a company, and I don't even see them at school.
I agree. Yeah,
It's very,
that's why they're not at school.
yeah. I'm telling you, the second season's first episode was the most school I'd ever seen. I was just like, oh, this is weird. And I'm excited to see where it goes. But 12 episodes in, I would highly recommend this as somebody's even starting Gundam series. I think there are better ones because I think the ones that aren't like school based are really cool. But doing the school based thing, I think this one succeeds pretty well because it kind of also is just like, yeah, they're at school, but that's sort of just the backdrop. It's like Grease.
Do you think it's like a good series if it's like your first Gundam series to like get introduced to the franchise?
I think it could be. Yeah, I think so.
I
I
feel
think
like a
so.
lot of them are separated in different universes, so it's not even like you have to worry about like the lore or
Yeah.
canon, and if it's a different universe.
Yeah. I know there's Gundam Seed, which is actually pretty popular. A lot of people recommend. I've watched
No,
bits
there's
and pieces
Gundam
of it.
Style.
Yeah, there's Whoopum Gundam style.
Gundam.
There's a fuck ton. If you look up like the amount of Gundam series there's a fuck ton. But
Yeah,
um,
I mean, I know it's super, super popular.
yeah, It-
I just never personally knew anyone who was into it.
yeah. I consider myself like a sort of fan. Like I'm not crazy about it. I've always loved the design. I liked Gundam Wing when I was a kid. I still see like I would love to get like a Gundam statue just because I think Gundams are sick look. Like all the mobile suits.
Yeah.
Like everybody thinks of the main like white and blue one, but there are tons of these things.
The
And
most I know of it is just like the gifs of them transforming into like their
yeah,
bigger Gundam forms.
yeah, that which isn't even really a main like you don't see a whole lot of transforming when it comes to Gundam. They just have cool abilities that make them like their weapons transform. Gundam's cool. Gundam's cool. And I think this one's pretty fun. Gundam I should get the name. Let me get the actual name.
Yeah.
Cuz
And where
the
you watch it from?
huh?
Where'd you watch it on?
I watched it on Crunchyroll. It's
Okay.
all in English and Japanese. Yeah. Though it's called The Witch from Mercury. I should have known that. Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury. And it's called that because the main character, when they escaped, her and her mom in the prologue, they ended up going and like living on Mercury. So she's a
Okay.
Mercurian. There's like
You did.
Spatians who are people who live in just space, and then there's Earthians, there's Mercurians. So there's different like groups of people.
Earthlings,
Yeah.
not Earthlings.
No, they're Earthens.
Dumb.
They're the Earthen House or some shit. There's
Space-
different houses.
Stations.
People consider
That
her a
sounds
witch.
cool, though.
And it kind of gets into why that is. Because she, our main character, she isn't affected by the Gundams like absorbing her life. She has this like connection with hers, so when she uses it, it doesn't actually kill her or harm her. And she's kind of an
That's good.
anomaly.
Yeah, because the whole killing and harming the pilots thing seems like a like a design flaw.
Yeah, such is life sometimes. It gets into that. The prologue really sets up a very interesting start, and it takes a little while. It doesn't take a little while to go. It gets going pretty quick, but there are like episodes in the middle that I was just like, okay, the plot here is really interesting, but like, what's going on? And now we're kind of at the point where I'm like, okay, something's going on, and I think there's only like 24 episodes the whole series, so I don't got too much to finish.
Well, I'll keep an eye. I canceled my Crunchyroll account, but I'll keep an eye out if it ever winds up on Netflix or Hulu
Yeah.
or Disney Plus.
Yeah, and it very well might. Honestly, it could be up there for all I know right now. I
Yeah,
just
I mean,
find most of my anime first by going to Crunchyroll.
Yeah, I could look into it. But cool.
Yeah.
Open Gundam style.
Gungam style. Back to you, big bro.
All right. So I was gonna do my video game, like my other video game, but I think I'm gonna save that for last since I have a lot more to say on that.
Okay.
So I'll go into my series. We've been watching two series. The first one we've already mentioned on this podcast before, with like during Sam and Kai's Halloween episode,
Mm-hmm.
where I'll just say what it is. It's
Yeah.
Dungeon Meshi.
Oh, right on, right on.
Delicious in Dungeon.
Delicious in Dungeon Meshi,
Yeah.
yes.
Kaylee actually recommended that we watched it because it sounded interesting to her.
Yeah.
And so we started it just to jog people's memories. 'Cause I'm sure some people haven't watched the Halloween one, which you should. But Delicious in Dungeon is this premise where it's like this D&D party basically that has to go into this dungeon to rescue one of the main character's sisters who got swallowed by a dragon, but they don't have any money to like buy food to go in, and they're on a time crunch, so they basically decide to go in with no food and live off of the dungeon animals, like the meat and stuff that they provide. The main character's super, I forget his name, but he's like kind of obsessed with eating monsters.
Yeah.
And around like this, like the dungeon has floors, and I think it's around the first or second floor they run into this dwarf called Senchi,
Mm-hmm.
who is a connoisseur of dungeon monster like cooking techniques. So he joins their party, and each episode they fight a different monster, and then they learn how to cook it. And there's like a whole scene of how to cook these monsters, like from like preparing them to cutting them up to cooking them to plating them.
Yeah.
And then like at the end, it shows like what the final product looks like, almost like it's like a cookbook. So
Yeah.
it's basically just like a cooking guide to dungeon crawling. And it's cool to see what kind of meals come up and see how they make a meal out of things like ghosts or like scorpions or giant mushrooms or sea serpents.
Yeah.
And then like as they get further into the dungeon, they do eventually find the sister. I won't say what happens when they find the sister, but then it kind of opens up into what like the main arc of this dungeon, which is it used to be a city that got swallowed up by the ground, and there's this mage that rules over it, and because basically anyone who can conquer the dungeon gets control over the city. Like the mage said that he'll relinquish control of the city to whoever defeats this dungeon. So
Mm.
that's kind of like what they're going to do next. But it's a fun little series. Like we typically would have it on in the background because there are story elements to it, but there also is. It's not something you have to pay super close attention to.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a fun kind of whimsical anime. It's like a different take on the cooking animes,
Yeah.
where it's like a hybrid between dungeon crawling and a cooking show.
Yeah, and there's like a really cool story all around it, encompassing it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's D&D rules pretty much, like D&D classes and magic and stuff, and they have a halfling and an elf and a dwarf in their party and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. They meet other like dungeon crawler parties along the way that you learn more about too as they get further and further down. But yeah, all the characters are fun. They vibe well together. They all have their own little quirks and stuff like they tend to with anime.
I've seen the
Um,
first episode.
yeah,
Yeah.
with the mushroom
That's
where he
about
cooks
it.
up the mushroom. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Good
but
first episode. We watched it with Sam and Kai one day.
yeah, and what's also neat about it is that like as they're preparing and cooking these monsters, they like sometimes learn like their weaknesses and like learn how to like fight these monsters better.
Mm-hmm.
You also see them becoming better in combat as they go down. So yeah, that was my first series, Delicious in Dungeon. Don't have
Yeah.
much to say on it. We're still working our way through it.
What episode are you
But,
on?
we're on like episode 14 or
Oh
15.
wow, so you're I think it's like one of those other ones that's only like 26 episodes, so I
Like
think
they
like first
found this.
season at least.
We got to the part where they found the sister, but I won't say like what happens when they
Yeah,
find the
I
sister.
didn't know they found the sister. I've only
That's
seen the
not much
first
of a
episode.
spoiler.
Yeah.
That's not much of a spoiler because that's like their main objective in the first episode is to find the sister. So you
Yeah.
assume they're eventually gonna find the sister.
Yeah, but I could have assumed it took the whole series.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't. So
Okay. Great. Well, I'm glad I won't worry about that for too long.
Yeah.
If I ever sit,
Um,
I've been meaning to watch ever since. Like Sam's told me about it numerous times. He was into it before the anime came out and was
he was, yeah.
telling me about the manga. So like it's on my radar. I've heard nothing but good things. I enjoyed the first episode. I just got to find time to sit and watch it.
It's like a nice comfort show.
Yeah, that's kind of what they said too. They just kind of put it on and just have it on.
Yeah. It's like
We
having the
watched
food
it
in
in
the
English
front.
with me because I preferred the English dubs to anything if
We
I
watched it
can.
in English. Yeah, we
Yeah,
watched it.
they were shitting on
The
him the
English
whole
dub is
time.
good.
Yeah, to me, it didn't bother me. Sam and Kai were like making fun of the one girl. I was like, I don't know. Sounds like
Yeah.
American anime to me.
Yeah, it's fine if you go into it as like the if you watch it first off as the English dub, because like I think it's
Yeah,
just the contrast between voices that throw people off because you get used
I
to
agree.
hearing those voices in one way.
Yeah,
So if
dude.
you hear their voice is different, it's changes their personality almost a little bit
Yeah,
to you.
yeah. Which has nothing really to do with dubbing. People hate on
Yeah.
dubbing a lot, but sometimes it's like Luffy for me is like he's the only one that I'm like, I like the Japanese one too much. I don't want to listen to it in English.
I think One Piece is one of the bigger examples of like why people hate dubbing because the dub isn't as good as the Japanese voice actors.
Yeah. Well, it's not even. It's still good. Like it's still really well done. It's just the personalities are slightly different. I don't know if
Yeah,
any English speaking person could capture the personality that Luffy's Japanese voice actor gives.
it's certainly difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a whole. We could talk. That could be a whole episode of me talking about English dubs and people's thoughts on them.
for sure.
For sure.
But yeah, if people want to watch Delicious in Dungeon, it's on Netflix,
Yeah.
so you can watch it there. And also the second series I've been watching real quick. We just finished the season 1 of it. It's also a Netflix show. Have you ever watched Sex Education?
I've never watched Sex Education. I've taught
Oh,
sex education, but I've never
so have
watched
I.
it. Yeah.
I've had to teach sex education before. That was fun.
Yeah, isn't it? That's a good way to
Yeah,
put it. Fun.
yeah, not really, but
The show's good.
the show is good. Yeah, it's takes place in it's probably one of the craziest British high schools ever because all these kids are just screwing each other all the time. But it's the main character Otis. His both of his parents are sex therapists, and he kind of resents that fact because he's kind of seen as the weird kid at school
Mm-hmm.
because of that. Because his he lives with his mother. His parents are divorced because you find out later they had certain marital problems, mainly due to the dad.
Typical.
But yeah, he's like kind of a shy outcast. He's seen as weird for his mother being a sex therapist because she's very open and like has zero boundaries when it comes to sex and like will just talk about sex openly with people in conversation in front of him all the
I
time.
think I remember seeing the trailer for the first season, and it kind of emphasized that.
Yeah, like he feels weird because of it and he has his own hangups with sex and his mother tries to like be a sex therapist to him but he always like denies it and doesn't want to talk to her because he doesn't want his mother to like give him sex therapy, which is
Sure.
understandable.
Yeah.
It goes a lot to the like mother son dynamic and how she's kind of you know does things that like she cares but she does things that aren't okay and he kind of reacts like a teenager and pushes her away on things, even though she's just trying to help in her own way, but she doesn't understand.
Yeah.
He is, feels weirded out by her sometimes. But he has a best friend as well who is a closeted. He's closeted to his family,
The
gay African
the
guy, British.
doctor.
Well, yeah, the guy who plays Doctor Who.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I forget his name.
Oh, it's a
In
tough
this,
one. Oh, in the
yeah,
show. I don't know what it is
in
in
the
that
show.
show.
I forget his name of the show. But he's also a really good character. He's like a funny best friend. He's out in
I
school,
wish I
but
had
he's
one of those.
yeah. All of yours are open.
Snooze fests. Not a joke between the lot of them.
No, but yeah, he's out as gay in school, but he's not out to his family because his family are Rwandan immigrants and like very conservative. So it's kind of like he has his own arc with trying to accept himself in front of his family and stuff because he wants to like wear feminine clothes and he wants to express himself and all that. So he has a good arc. And then like the other main character is her name is Maeve, and she's kind of like the manic pixie dream girl slash goth chick, kind of. And she's also an outcast, but she's like cool. She's like a cool outcast, while Otis is like a weird outcast.
Yeah.
But through certain circumstances, she and Otis form a friendship, and she comes up with this scheme to start a sex clinic at the school and makes money off of it, because he at one point gives like sexual advice. He like basically repeats what he hears from his mom to his friends, and gives like sexual advice to these kids at school, and ends up fixing their relationship. And so she's like, you have a gift. Like none of these kids are given it sex education, so you need to open this clinic and give it like out sexual advice to all these kids, even though Otis himself is a virgin and hasn't even masturbated before. Like he can't, like he has psychological hangups with it.
That sucks.
Yeah, but he ends up giving advice to everyone else in his school. Each episode focuses on certain aspects of sex education and like actual sexual issues that like kids might find themselves in. And it does it really well. Like it's pretty educational. I think it does what Big Mouth tries to do, but just in a better way, I think. In like almost a less creepy way. If you've ever watched Big Mouth.
No.
John Mulaney.
I
Nick
know
Kroll.
the show. I've never watched it.
Yeah, Big Mouth, it's not bad, but it gets a lot of criticism because sometimes it goes a little too wild with its educational things, because Big Mouth is about like puberty.
I know, yeah. I know the premise of it. I do think it's an interesting sounding show, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, and like this does the same thing, and there is like a fair amount of nudity in this show and stuff. All the actors are
I'm in.
Yeah, all the actors are over 18, but like they do depict teenagers having sex and stuff, and you see, titties and butts, and I haven't seen like a full-on dick yet, but I've seen like dildos and stuff.
That's my favorite kind of show. You get everything of everybody else, but no dick.
Yeah,
I'm in.
There's penises and stuff, but they're mostly dildos.
Yeah.
Or like obscured. But yeah, it's a fun little show. We just finished season 1. It's set in Britain, but it's based off of like 90s American school culture. So like the kids are kind of like dressed like it's the 90s almost, but it's modern day. It's kind of weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about most of it.
It's good. Yeah, and the girl who plays Maeve is the one that gets confused for Margot Robbie all the time.
Well,
like
lucky her.
Yeah, she looks a lot like Margot Robbie.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Braden, you do know this show. You might have got a little offensive to the shitters. This is nerd shit in the dark, and sex is kind of a tough topic for the nerds.
It's kind of controversial.
The community doesn't know a whole lot, and you might be pointing some people out.
I gotta appeal to the algorithm. I have to appeal to the audience. I can't have my own opinions on things and interests. We gotta chase that high.
We're nerds. We have to be official nerds. We're virgins here.
Yeah, well, I'm the only person here talking who doesn't have a child. So, what does that say?
It says that my kid's Jesus.
That means that you've had sex. And I've not. I'm a pure nerd virgin.
You got me. Fuck. You've got me. I'll forgive you though. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
well,
yeah, those are my 2 shows that I wanted to touch upon.
Okay. I'm trying to make a decision on where I want to go next, because I can't really tell which one. I think I should probably hit up a small one that I can do real quick, which is sad. I wish I would have had more to say about this, but it's been a rough week. It's been a rough week, man. No, but I've been playing Warhammer 40k, Space Marine 2. I wish I could tell you more. I've only played for about 4 hours. Me and Nos got one really good night in and have not had the opportunity to play again.
I thought I saw you playing it a lot more. I must have just saw you playing it that night you were playing it for 4 hours.
Yep, that's it. That's all the opportunity we've had to play it yet.
I was bummed I couldn't hop on with you guys, because I did want to get it, but yeah, with my internet being so weird, it wouldn't have worked.
That sucks. I would be like, I would recommend get yourself a new computer so you can fucking play this game, because it is a really good game, man. I'm not super far into it, but I am having an absolute hell of a good time playing this game, man. It's sick. I don't know dick about Warhammer 40K. I've never played a single Warhammer 40K game. I guess I don't know dick. I know some things. I own like one of the RTS ones like in my Steam, but I've just never touched it. But I saw reviews for this.
The only Warhammer experience I have is I've played Total War Warhammer.
Mm-hmm.
The Total War Warhammer games are hands down my favorite of the Total War series, and I'm a big fan of the Total War series.
Well, you know what I think is really cool about the series in general, from what I do know about Warhammer? There's a lot of different genres. It's just like a title to a game company that makes these different, because like not all of them are these Gears of War. Like Space Marine 2 is a Gears of War third-person shooter.
40K, I think they're all like slightly connected lore-wise, but I think 40K is the Warhammer universe 40,000 years into the future. Like if all these fantasy races like developed technology and like became spacefaring.
I don't know dick about the world or the lore or even the story. I know kind of what's going on in the game I'm playing right now, but even less probably. But you know, there was just like a couple months ago, a different Warhammer 40K game was in the news, like just a different genre. But this one kind of caught my eye. I've been wanting to play a new shooter for quite some time, and man, for just a little bit that I played of this game, dude, it's so fucking fun. First off, it's gorgeous. It's a very gorgeous game, and this is one of the games that have come out, this generation of games, that really make me go, oh, this is what separates last gen from this gen. So the game kicks off. You do this like 20-minute, 25-minute tutorial level, essentially, where it's teaching you the controls. You know, you're seeing, you know, the basic versions of things you're going to fight. You do a little boss fight, yada, yada, yada. Really fun. Really cool. Gets you going. Like right out the gate, I was like, this is sick. You have your guns. You have a melee weapon that you can choose. So I have like this chain sword that chops shit up.
Are you just like a human? Well, you're a space marine, so
you're a space marine. So, which is, I don't know what's going on, but they have such a sick looking like aesthetic. They're a part of like what looks to be like a religious group.
I think they're like religious fanatics.
All their armor looks like Magna Angemon, but that's their like battle armor that they go out and fight in. Like they're a part of this group of people that just has a sick religious battle idealism, and I'm all there for it. It's this weird mix of like holy yet fucking I have a machine gun and a fucking chainsaw and I'm chopping through aliens.
You heard it here, folks. Chase loves holy wars.
They're done well in space. Nobody's religion on this planet I can say is wrong, but fuck those space religions. Let's kill those motherfuckers. And I'm telling you, the first 25-minute tutorial thing, it is a good time. I'm having a bomb. You can't play multiplayer at that point, so I was just kind of talking to Nas as I did it, shot my way through it. Cool. If anything, some of the control, like the buttons I would have changed, but like, whatever, I can get used to the control scheme. It throws you into like the first level of this game, man. And I've never in my life in a video game felt like I was actually in true war than I did in just the opening mission of this game. You just come up into this you're in this giant field of just fucking war going on around you. There's all these people. I don't even essentially know where to go. There's so much area, but we just walk into this section, and it's a game that like shows thousands of aliens kind of coming at you, and it's not just to show it. It's not just as a background effect. These fucking things just charge in, and you're literally fighting tons of these aliens. Like, it was me, Nos, and like the computer, and we're just shooting and swinging, and I'm screaming. I'm literally just sitting in my chair going, ah! And this is all the time. You clear one area, and boom, you're in another area that is just flooded, and then like the aliens get stronger and different abilities. You can parry them, and so like sometimes they'll jump at you, you do the parry, and you'll just fucking throw them and kill like 20 of them around you. It's insane. It's so intense.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it gives you a lot of breathing room. Like you're just full on berserker mode.
Full on berserker mode. Like you can, like you have a shield and then you have your health, and if you get down, your partner can come and pick you up. But like, at times you think you can live forever, and then there's other times where it's just like, holy fuck, I'm about to die, and you never know when it's gonna happen. and you got different ability. Like every character has a different ability. Like me and Nos have different. Like if we press the Y button, we can. Like I get this ability where I heal and damage doesn't hurt me, and I can just swing and kill shit. And he has something else. But like, oh, it's so fun, man. It's so. And then you have to wait for a cooldown for that to do it again. But like, in the meantime, you just shoot. We beat the first, I think, 3 levels. There's so many guns I doubt we've ever even touched, but it's one of those games where the further you get, the guns kind of change up, so you can try different types of guns, and
Right.
really cool, really fun.
What are they? So the enemies are bugs?
Dude,
Or what are
I
they?
think they're called, that's the problem, I don't know a lot of the terminology. I think they're called Tyranids. I call them turnips, because I don't know what they're ever saying when they refer to these things. If I were to compare like the base enemies, they're like the aliens from Alien. They look like little aliens from Alien. And there are bug versions of them, and then there's like bigger ones. There's some that are like Predator. So there's different like kinds.
Tyranids would make sense because I think that's what they call the bugs in Helldivers, and I think that's also what they call the bugs in what's it called, Starship Troopers.
Then I'd say that's probably the term. I can't remember. I started calling them turnips because I just couldn't keep up with the story along with the fucking crazy wars I was in. Like, literally.
And it makes them seem silly.
Oh my god, dude! I felt like how you feel when you watch The Return of the King, like when they're in the war outside of Minas Tirith. That's how this game feels like. Like you're in the middle of this fucking crazy battle,
chaos,
dude.
Yeah.
And it's so fun. Like it just gets you jacked. I've been dying to play this game all week long. I want to play it again so bad. It's beautiful. It's so pretty to look at.
Situations that we would never want to be in real life, but would actually like to experience what it's like.
So fun. I wish I had more to really say about it, other than like I'm loving it. It's so insane. It's bloody. It's graphic, and it's a great third-person shooter. One reviewer I saw said something along the lines of like, it's Gears of War brought to modern generation gaming, and I totally get that. As I play it, I'm just like, yes, this is where this style of gameplay needed to evolve into. What a fantastic game. Just the little bit I played, and I haven't even touched PvP or like online at all, but like this could be a contender for Game of the Year, and it's been out for like a week tomorrow or something.
I knew it was going to do well, especially there was a lot of discourse with the Helldivers community saying that they're going to switch to that now, since there's still a bunch of controversy with Helldivers. And
sure. I
mean, the devs messing things up.
It's a fucking fun game, so I mean, I wouldn't blame any for jumping ship.
Yeah, getting
very early days.
Space Marine bug fighting itch.
Yeah, and Warhammer in general has such a big following. Like this game was bound to be a hit. Like they were already going to buy it, and then it turned out to also be huge. Yeah. I mean, just this game alone gets me at least inspired to maybe try to become a bigger fan of like the whole all of it. But I'm gonna work my way through this game first, and luckily it's not like a long. I saw the campaign's only like 13 hours, so like very doable. And if I keep getting into crazy wild wars like I've been getting into, I cannot wait to get back into this game. I wish I could tell you, it gave me a feeling that I don't think a game has ever given me. That's the best way I can put when like all of them charged in, and it was just me screaming at the top of my lungs in my bedroom.
There are a few games that could get me to scream at the top of my lungs in excitement.
Yeah.
Or just like, holy shit.
Yeah. This one did it to me within the first hour of playing it.
That
Technically like the most 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So, first chance you get, you should get
Hopefully I can get a new laptop soon, or I can figure out how to fix my old laptop.
Yeah. I'd say get a new one. But that's just me.
Yeah.
But that's really all I got to say about Warhammer 40K. So you can take another swing at your shit.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I had to talk about, which you've already seen me talk about before, is Cyberpunk 2077.
Mm-hmm. You've been playing that.
Yeah, that's been consuming my life for whenever I get a chance to play. I just play that a lot.
I'm glad you're kind of having a renaissance with that game.
Yeah, because I bought it when it first came out.
I recall.
Back in like 2021.
There's an episode of us talking about it. I remember when you first got it. You were not impressed.
Yeah. I was not impressed because there was a lot of issues with the game. It was unfinished. There's a lot of bugs, a lot of crashes, and just a lot of like janky things about the world. Like I remember like one of the issues was like the vehicles weren't very good. Like all the vehicles kind of drove the same and not well. And if you like hit a pedestrian or hit a car or like did anything criminal wise, it would trigger the police system. But instead of like having police like come to you organically, like it would essentially just spawn police on top of you
Oh god.
like right away. Like you would turn around and there'd be police officers there. So like it wasn't very realistic from a role playing perspective.
Yeah. I
That was
mean,
just one of the
yeah, I remember the days, man. There were a
yeah,
lot of shit going on with that game.
a lot of bug crashes, a lot of bugged out enemies, a lot of just like unfinished quests or like unsatisfying conclusions to quests. But regardless, I still had a fun time. I still played a lot of the game.
Yeah, I
I
remember you
beat the
said you had
game.
beat it. Yeah.
Yeah, I beat the game. I didn't do all of the content in the game before, like, because I had already beaten the game. Because there's like side missions and stuff that you can do, but there's a lot of them, so I just didn't do them all.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like it, and I'd already like become as strong as I could initially. Like I got all my best gear and stuff, and was just like plowing through enemies, and so it like wasn't that fun for me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd heard that they, in recent years, like fixed a lot of that, and
Yeah.
a new DLC came out not that long ago.
People loved it.
Phantom Liberty.
It was in running for Game of
So
the
I,
Year last year.
yeah, it was.
What a
So
turnaround.
it was quite a turn. It's almost like No Man's Sky, where No Man's Sky had a lot of controversy when it came out, and then they just continued to work on it and update it, and it was good then. Because a lot of people said even when it first came out that like there's a good game in here, like there's still a lot of fun aspects and
Yeah.
concepts to this game,
I
and they
remember
were
you
right.
saying that to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they succeeded. Like I still run into bugs here or there. Like there's this one bug that I get where it's like the infinite combat bug, where it will still say that you're in combat even when you're not, like if you've killed all the enemies, and then like you can't get into like certain menus and stuff, so you have to restart the game. But it's a pretty easy like fix. You just reload a save and it gets
Yeah.
rid of it.
And you probably don't run into
So
it
like
like a lot.
no, not a lot for it to be a huge problem for me to complain about. And yeah, they fixed a lot of the things that people were complaining about before, like the whole police system now. Like now there are just like police on random areas of the street, and if they're nearby, they'll catch you. But if not, like they have to come to you, so they don't just like spawn in randomly.
Yeah.
They fixed a lot of the quest lines where, you know, some of the quests had unsatisfying endings, and so they would like give you more rewards or like different dialogue options or certain things at the end. They just like fleshed out the world a lot more, made it run a lot more.
It's crazy
It's
what
been a
people
while.
can do if you give them a little more time to finish their video game.
Exactly. And I think the whole issue with it the first time is it was already in development hell for years before it came out. And it was like announced years and years before it actually came out. And so people were getting antsy. And so they released it, but it was still unfinished. And so people were really pissed off about that.
Dude, I wasn't even gonna get the game, and I was upset for everybody because like I was still like interested.
You'd
And then
heard about it, I'm sure. Because
totally,
it was,
it was
yeah, a
everywhere.
long,
Of
yeah, it
course,
was a
I knew
long,
about it. Of course, I knew. I mean, fuck, Keanu Reeves showed up at Gamescom or whatever E3 2 years before the damn game came out.
yeah. And Keanu Reeves is a huge part of this game. So I guess general background, I guess, because I didn't explain Cyberpunk beforehand, but it takes place in a cyberpunk world in 2077. It's an alternate timeline because they do reference things that happen in like the 2020s or like the like 90s and stuff, and it's different history from ours. Like the Soviet Union's still around. Like they're and like corporations took over
Them and
the
what
world
army?
a lot faster. So like there's all kinds of lore hidden within the world that like you can find to like notes and stuff that tell you just like the general history. Like there was like brief stints of nuclear war. There's at least 4 different corporate wars, which were like wars behind like between mega corporations that devastated parts of the globe. And things are mostly shit everywhere, and humans live in mega cities, and small towns aren't really a thing anymore. And everything's a lot more dangerous because everyone is like partly cybernetic and like uploaded into the net.
I watched the anime. So I
Oh
know,
yeah,
yeah, I know a little bit about that.
which there are actually I don't know if they added this in. I think they did. There's references to the anime
I thought I
in the
heard about
game now.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, like spoilers, so I won't give it away, but there is a way you can get the jacket of the main character in the anime. Like it's like a cosmetic item that you can get if you do a certain quest line.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's like one side quest where like you get plugged into there's these things called brain dances, which are things that they hook up to your brain, and it makes you almost like you're in a movie. And so like it's like you're watching a movie, but it's like you're the main character and you're feeling everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally a scene from the anime. So like there's just like this big animated part, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. And yeah, the I guess general premise is that your main character is called V. You can be male or female and customize how they look, but there's one voice actor for each gender, and you basically just play through as a mercenary in what is known as Night City, which I think is like it's like it's like several different cities merged together, like San Francisco and Los Angeles, and all of them merged together into one mega city.
It's like it's like in Big Hero 6 when there's San Fran Tokyo.
Yes, just like that.
My second Big Hero 6 reference of the night.
Right.
Just so you know.
You should watch that movie sometime.
Totally great movie.
It's a good movie. But yeah, it's like an independent mega city that's run by corporations, and your main character V becomes best friends with this guy called Jackie, and you go on all these mercenary quests with him and get established in Night City, and then you get this big job stealing from the Arasaka Corporation, which is like the Japanese mega corporation that controls Night City, and you have to like steal this prototype shard that you can use to like slot into people's necks and download information. Yeah, so the job basically goes tits up, and you have to slot this shard into your body in order to save it, because it's like its integrity's falling. And then you end up getting shot. You have to like get patched up and stuff. But then all of a sudden, Keanu Reeves is there, which it's not.
Thank God.
It's not actually. Yeah, it's not actually Keanu Reeves. His name is Johnny Silverhand.
You're hallucinating. It's Keanu Reeves.
I mean, that'd be the person I'd want to see.
Hey, why not?
But he plays this guy called Johnny Silverhand, who was this famous mercenary 50 years ago in the 2020s in Night City that was against Arasaka, and he like blew up one of their buildings and stuff. But we find out Arasaka captured him and like copied his personality onto this shard and killed him. And so then when you slotted that shard into your brain, because you're cybernetic and you can connect to the net and stuff, his personality construct gets uploaded into your mind. And so he's like in your head. Yeah, he's like in your head with you.
Keanu Reeves is in your head.
Yeah, and so like he'll like comment on certain things in the mission, and he'll just like show up randomly to give his advice. And he plays a good character. He's like an asshole rocker, like anarchist rocker that's against corporations.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Do you think if the end of The Matrix could have been a little different when Keanu Reeves jumped into Smith, instead of blowing Smith up from the inside, he just ended up becoming like how he is to you in Cyberpunk? So like Smith had to go the rest of his existence just always dealing with Keanu Reeves showing up and be like, hey, motherfucker, fucking with him all the time. Like, oh, you thought I was dead? I'm actually in your mind.
That would probably be a worse ending for Smith.
Yes.
Than him just simply blowing up.
Yeah, probably. Just
he
a thought.
Specifically hated dealing with humans, and having one in his head all the time would drive him nuts.
Especially Neo.
Yeah.
Who he thought he killed.
That's true.
Interesting thought.
Very interesting thought. I'm sure that's partly why they casted him as Johnny Silverhand because of his kind of cyberpunky origins.
Johnny Silverhands. It's funny you call him Johnny. Well, his name is Johnny Silverhands because when me and Kaiten play Halo together, a lot of the time, so Halo Infinite has a lot of bugs, and one of the bugs is sometimes I spawn in and I don't have any hands, so I just have like a
Yeah.
floating gun and my grapple, but I have no hands. And it's a running joke with me and Kate when we play, but I've dubbed my character Johnny No Hands because Master
Nice.
Chief's name is John 117,
Right.
so I'm Johnny No Hands, and so a lot of the times I'll be like Johnny No Hands coming at you, or Johnny No Hands coming in. We fuck shit up.
Yeah.
So when you say
Well, this
Johnny
is Johnny
Silverhands,
Silverhand.
I think
Well,
of
and
Johnny No Hands.
he actually does have a silver hand.
He has the robot hand, right? I've seen
Yeah, the
I've
robot
seen
hand that's silver.
things. I've seen things. If you don't think I've seen Keanu Reeves with a
Yeah,
robot hand, you're crazy. You're fucking
that's right.
crazy.
But yeah, the main plot pretty much centers around that premise of trying to separate Johnny from V because
Hands.
his personality's like slowly taking over V and it's like killing him.
Oh.
And so like you have to figure out a way to get it out, but like you don't have to do the main quest line because there's a bunch of side quests and gigs and stuff and jobs that you can just fuck off and do, and they're all really fun to just like drive around and do jobs.
Yeah, I heard it's just like futuristic Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, pretty much. Like you just go around, there'll be a job that you can do in some place. You go in and steal a thing or kill some guys and
I love stealing
get out.
things and killing guys.
Yeah, and as
In
you
video
make
games.
as you make more money from jobs, you can go to what they call Ripper Docs, which are like cybernetic doctors that you can buy cybernetic implants that give you certain abilities or like increase your health
Yeah.
or
I've seen that on
give
the
you like,
anime.
give you like hacking abilities, or you can make yourself really strong and give yourself like giant arms so you can like punch people's faces in. My personal favorite are the mantis arms, which are arms that can turn into blades that you can then like jump around and like slice people up with. So there's like a lot of different styles of play that you can do. Like I'm doing this playthrough a netrunner build, which is like a hacker. Like netrunners are people that can like hack into people's brains and
Like Tank from the Matrix.
yeah, and cause them to do like crazy shit. Like there's a suicide hack where I can just like hack into someone's brain and cause them to kill themselves, or like I can cause them to go crazy or like light on fire and shit like that. So I've been doing that build, but you're not restricted with how you play. Like you can easily switch up your build and do something different. Like you can go full on gorilla man and get gorilla arms and just like punch the shit out of people. But yeah, you can stealth your way through. You can be a one-man army and just shoot a bunch of people or slice up a bunch of people in melee. I had fun experimenting with a lot of the different ways that you can fight. Like I'll usually just hack the enemies and kill them, or use my mantis arms to get in close and kill them. But sometimes when I'm feeling it, I'll just bring out some of my guns and kill a bunch of people too. But there's all sorts of a variety of ways that you can play. And what I also noticed about, I think they added this in because I don't remember it from the original game, but there's like skill trees that you have now too, where like if you play a certain style long enough, you'll like get skill points into them. And then if you get like every 5 skill points into that skill tree, you get like an extra perk or benefit. And so like I'm almost all the way through the netrunner tree, but you can do like the melee tree or like an engineer or a sniper. However, pretty much however you want to play, you can probably play it. There's multiple ways you can solve a level or fight enemies.
There's certainly more layers to it than I think I thought when people described it as Grand Theft Auto with the future, because that's a skill tree in general is a lot more to mess around with.
Yeah, there's skill there's a leveling system, and you can level up out of 5 different attributes, which I think is like body reflexes, coolness, which is like stealth and stuff.
How close to
Technical,
Keanu Reeves can you be?
yeah, technical ability and intelligence. And so yeah, I did a netrunner build, so I spec'd into technical abilities and intelligence, and cool for the stealth. And
Gotta have some cool. Gotta have some cool.
yeah, and like I can like hack into cameras and like get in their camera system and like take people out that way. Because if I have line of sight on people, I can upload hacks into them. I can hack their turrets and cause their turrets to turn on them.
That's sick. This game has been on my radar for some time, especially when I heard it got fixed up and I heard the good things about the DLC. It is on my to play list. I don't know when I'll get to it, but I do want to play it.
Yeah, the DLC, I do want to talk about that really quick because it is fun. And there is one slight spoiler I want to say here. So if anyone cares about the spoiler for Phantom Liberty and Cyberpunk, tune it out now. And I'm sure they probably advertised this somewhere. But there's actually another famous person that they cast in the DLC.
Totally. I think everybody knows that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't look up anything about the DLC. I just heard that it was good. But I was so surprised to see Idris Elba.
Yeah. He got nominated last year as like a character of the year in a game.
Yeah, Reed. He's like a spy, pretty much. But yeah, I heard his voice and I thought that sounded like Idris Elba because the first time you meet him, you don't actually see him because he like comes up from behind you and puts a gun to your head, and so you don't actually.
I want Idris Elba to sneak up on me.
Yeah, but then like you have to wait in a car for him to actually reveal himself, and then like he walks up, and then like I got like kind of a slight look at his face, but like they purposely obscure it a little bit when you first see him, and I'm like, that kind of looks like Idris Elba, but there's no way that's Idris Elba. And then like he gets into the car, and then like it's kind of like a big moment where he like looks up, and you're like, yeah, that's Idris Elba, and then he starts talking like Idris Elba. So.
Yeah. Very cool that they can call in these celebrities to be a part of these games.
Yeah, and they had to do a lot of voice work. Like Keanu Reeves, like Johnny Silverhand has a lot of voice lines. And same with like Idris Elba. Like it wasn't just a cameo. Like it's a full-on acting gig.
Yeah. They seem like both cool actors that would be like, listen, you're not going to pay us like a whole fucking lot because we're special.
Yeah.
We just want to be in a video game.
Yeah, and they certainly were. But yeah, there's a lot of other there's a lot of references in Cyberpunk to other games. There's a Portal reference. There's an Office reference, like the American Office reference, and there's other references that I can't remember that don't come to mind right now, but like they're everywhere.
I will play it. I will play it eventually.
Also, just a beautiful game. Like if you like the cyberpunk genre, like Night City itself is just like such a beautiful place to drive through in like a dystopian way, but it's just like really cool cyberpunk. Like this, you feel like you're in this huge mega city and doing all these jobs, and like that's you see how dangerous and ratty everything is. And
I'm glad they fixed it. I'm really glad they fixed it. I'm glad it became the game it was meant to be.
Oh yeah, and like there's a ton of stuff to do.
Yeah.
Like it'll keep you busy. Like I'm pretty much through the main quest line. Like there's the last quest pretty much that I have to do, but I'm holding off on that to just do all of the other side quests and stuff. And it's still like I have a lot to go.
Yeah.
I haven't finished the DLC yet.
Yeah, it's one of the games that I hear runs super well on the Steam Deck, so it's certainly one that I will be playing on that and sitting at work playing because you've inspired. I'm more. I was already interested. Now I'm still not gonna do it yet, but the next time it's on sale on Steam, I'll probably pick it up.
Yeah, I think you would enjoy it. I think you'd find a lot of fun in it.
I just gotta work my way through this fucking log that I've created. I'm still working on Wukong. I'm now playing Space Marine. I'm playing one of the Tales games, Tales of Aria or something, the newest one. A new Zelda game comes out in like a week, so I'm just like... But it looks like holiday season, I will have some time to dabble, which is kind of where I'm also waiting to play the game you bought me, the Mad Max game.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll get there. Maybe I'll put Cyberpunk on that same, like, I took off for a week, so I'll have a lot of time come Christmas to play some games.
Yeah, play around with it. Just, be aware. Like any other RPG, you're gonna suck at first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the first fight.
And I have nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, the first fight you just have nothing but a pistol and like they're like fodder enemies, but they took me a long time to actually take down.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much once you get enough money to start getting cybernetic enhancements, that's when it really picks up and you can really do some damage.
I look forward to it. I really do look forward to it. I've been looking forward to it. I just needed another, because it was like a year ago where I was gonna buy it again. I was gonna buy it for my PlayStation, but I think if I had the choice, I'd play it portably, so I'd have more time to play it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I'm glad, because the only other recording we have of us talking about Cyberpunk is when the first game came out, and even though you were having fun, it was like how we talk about Pokemon Violet and Scarlet. It's like, yeah, this is a mess, but it's a fun mess.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice if I could turn on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and be like, oh, now it's just a fun, not mess.
Yeah, now I would say it's just a fun game. It's not really a mess anymore. It has bugs, but it's not more egregious than any other game.
Sick.
Like, I would say it's still less bugs than like any Bethesda game I've played.
That's fair. Yeah, I can't argue that. Cool. You'll be hearing me talk about this in the future at some point. I don't know when.
I would be excited to hear some future episode you give your take on it then.
I like I said, holiday season, the game schedule starts to open up a little.
Yeah, I want to hear what build you decide to go with. How do you play?
Me too. It's funny. I feel like I have this very specific vision of what this game is like in my head, though I've never played it. So I'm excited to actually like play it and make this a reality.
Yeah.
So I have two more things I want to talk about. So I'm going to try to plow through those.
Yeah.
Even though they're both things I want to talk about quite a bit, one more than the other. But I'll start with this one. We saw Beetlejuice a couple weeks back.
Oh, nice. I have not seen it. Kaylee has.
Yeah. So we did a rewatch of the first Beetlejuice because neither of us had seen it in a while. I definitely hadn't seen it.
We also just rewatched the first Beetlejuice.
Yeah, and I had a really good time rewatching Beetlejuice. It's it's a classic. It's good. It's great.
I forgot how pervy Beetlejuice was.
Dude, I forgot what Alec Baldwin used to look like. I didn't know it was even him until I looked up the cast and I was like, the credits rolled and I was like, oh my god, that motherfucker was Alec Baldwin? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Proof to everyone that everybody can change. Time's coming for all of us. Just be careful what you do with it. But yeah, I really do. It's a classic. I love Beetlejuice. I'll say this about Beetlejuice too, and it's probably an unpopular opinion, but I don't care. And it is a little based on the fact that I was very, very high, slightly drunk when I saw Beetlejuice. But I think there were things about Beetlejuice that makes it a superior movie. Like, ooh. I had a really good time with Beetlejuice.
You're gonna have that
Miranda and I
opinion,
did.
Like I have the opinion of the Footloose remake.
Probably, yeah, maybe.
I think the Footloose remake is a superior version to the original.
Yeah, which is a dicey call, but I feel that way about this one. Like, are there things about this movie that fall short? Yes, but does it take more chances than the first one did? Yes. I think the first one's probably funnier. I don't know if I laughed a lot based on jokes or if I just laughed because I was high watching this ridiculous movie, but there were so many plot elements that took place. There were at least 3 twists in this movie that made me go, the fact that there's a twist in general, but I was like, what? Like, I did not, and even if you could see the one coming, there's like a twist on a twist that is just like, holy fuck. And like, there's like probably about 4 or 5 stories going on in this movie, and all of them they kind of wrap up just like, nothing crazy, nothing intricate, but so the way
it's not a full-on remake. It's like a sequel, right? It's not a full-on remake.
Yes, it's a sequel. It takes place years and years and years later because it's Lydia Dietz, but she's an adult and she has a kid who is Jenna Ortega, her character. Yeah. A lot of the characters are back. The stepmom is back and she's still funny. Like, just, plays into that character just as well as she did 30, 40 years ago.
I heard the guy, the dad, Ed Rooney from Ferris Bueller's Day Off did not make it back because
he is not in it. His body is.
I think it was child porn allegations or something, like the actual actor.
Yeah, something like that. So he's not. He's dead in it. That's what brings them all together because it's his funeral.
Yeah, Kaylee said that they made like a good loophole around not having his character.
It worked really well, and yeah, the story, there's probably like 4 storylines going on. For some people, it could have been too much. But for what I wanted out of a Beetlejuice movie, a sequel to Beetlejuice, it gave me I looked at Miranda as soon as we walked out, and I was like, I think I like that more than the first one. And Miranda's a huge Beetlejuice fan, and she was like, I do too. So I don't know. That's
I think that's a good
how we felt
thing,
about
though.
it.
Like, isn't that the goal of like these
Yeah,
sequels and remakes is to like try and I mean people say that they can't because the
sure.
originals are classics, but
There's a stigma, but I don't know. There were so many, like, the twists that happened made me just go, well, the first movie doesn't have a twist at all. So, like, it just felt like I was getting more out of this movie than the other one. Like, it was like the same premise, but it gave you just a little something extra.
sounds like it's like a more complex plot because
Yeah.
like the original the plot is just there are ghosts in this house and they don't like the new people living there, so they hire Beetlejuice to scare them, and then Beetlejuice goes too far and so
Yeah.
they have to get rid of him. Like that's the
There's
plot.
there's more to this plot than that. And like I said, none of it really wraps up. Even the ending's a little open-ended, but like they don't solve any of the problems very like intricately or anything. Nobody's winning a writing award, but it was still like, even like, it didn't need to end well. The things that happened were enough that it was just like, however they want to end this is fine.
Haley
And
said that there's a lot of practical effect usage,
oh, for sure.
which is what I was happy to hear because I was worried because that's one of the things that makes the original so charming is the practical effects, and I was worried that they're just going to go full CGI to try and like copy them but and like one up them.
No.
But to hear that they actually attempted practical effects again is was good for me to hear.
Yeah. It's and when they didn't use practical effects, it's like how I always say I like when they do like a blending of practical with special. They
Yeah,
get the worm thing, and it's kind of a combo thing, and it looks a lot cooler
yeah,
because of it. So yeah, that was really cool. There's an entire plot line with Beetlejuice's ex-wife that could be cut from the movie, but at the same time, I just don't care enough. And
yeah.
there's some, I laughed out loud a few times. I don't want to go too into spoilers of what made me laugh out loud. Willem Dafoe's in it, and he has a funny character, and he could also probably be
I
written out of the
heard he has a
movie.
cameo in it.
Oh, he has more than a cameo. He is
Yeah,
a full-fledged character. And there's a musical number at the end that I have heard multiple people kind of complain about. I fucking loved it. It felt like the end of this movie. Miranda and I were walking back from the theater, and I was just like, dude, the last 20 minutes of this movie felt like too many cooks. Like it just felt
was
like too many cooks.
was it to the 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot bunch?
No, they did a
Was it
different
that?
song this time, just to I guess separate it. So they did a different song, but they did like a song
That's good.
thing.
They
And
need to make their own, make it
yeah,
their own.
yeah, and a lot of people were like, "That was crazy," and I think it's just like I said, it reminded me of Too Many Cooks. So I personally was like, "This is funny." Also, I'm fucking blazing at this point in the movie. I'm high as hell, and I've had a couple beers, so I'm having a real good time at the movie theater. And that might have been part of why I like it more. But just by the end of it, I was just like, I had a better time watching this movie than I did rewatching Beetlejuice.
I certainly think being high colored my opinion of Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness because I loved that movie when I watched it in
Me too,
theaters, but
man.
I
Me
was
too.
also blazing.
Agreed. I also still think that movie. The good thing is, you'll always have that experience, so it stays good for you
Yeah,
forever.
right.
Yeah, me. That's that's something I cut out of my Lord of the Rings talk on the Rings of Power video, where I should remind all the viewers that a lot of my decisions are made on me being stoned as I watch these things. So like,
Yeah,
that has something to consider. But I would say if you get the chance, especially Halloween season being around, Beetlejuice was a really good time at the movie theater, and I was really glad that me and Miranda found some time to go and just go watch it because it's not long. It's like an hour and 40, and it was fun.
well, good.
That's
Yeah,
all I gotta say
I've
about
been
that.
hearing a lot of good reviews on it. So I was, because when I saw the trailers, I wasn't that impressed, and I just had the feeling that it wasn't going to be good. Like it was just going to be another soulless, like cash grab of nostalgia. But to hear that it sounds like it kind of carved its own path, which is what it needed to do, I want to see it.
Yeah,
Like I don't know when I would see it. Like I might just wait for it to get out on streaming, but
yeah.
I
I'm
think
sure
my
they'll
mom
put it
even
up.
said my mom wants to see it, so she might want to do it this weekend.
I'd say yeah, get high and kill an hour and a half, have a fun little romp at a movie because that's what this movie is, and that's exactly all I needed Beetlejuice to be. I didn't go to see Beetlejuice to see
Right.
like the Godfather. I went to see Beetlejuice.
Right. It's entertaining. That's what matters.
Yeah. So that's the movie. Now this is this is probably my main thing. I didn't think it was gonna be my main thing, and like I said, I am not finished with it yet. But I think I have consumed enough of this that I can talk about it to wrap our episode off with. But I started reading
Okay.
the first book in the Wheel of Time series, The Eye of the World. Do you know of the Wheel of Time series?
Ooh, I know of it. I've never read them, but I know of people who have and love those books. Did not like it. 'Cause I know there's a Wheel of Time series out.
Yeah, all I know about the show is that it sucks.
Yeah, but you read the book.
I'm currently reading the first book, so that's what I'm working on right
Yes.
now. I am about I think I'm 450 pages into it. It's about 660 something pages. So I'm 4/6 of the way through this book.
Nice.
Dude, there are 14 books in this series, so it's going to take me a long time to work through the series. But this first book in and of itself, what a fantastic, very all-encompassing type of book. I'm having a really good time reading this book, man. This is an interesting series.
No, I don't really know much of the premise of Wheel of Time.
Yeah, neither did
What's
I.
the premise?
So the premise, at least from where I am at currently, because you know what, before I can describe the premise of the book, I think I need to describe a lot of things about it before I can get into the premise. So
Yeah.
what I'm liking about this series already is I'm 4/6 into the first book, and you as a reader are introduced to an entirely new world full of its own different groups of people, concepts, magic abilities, types of people with different kinds of abilities. It's an entirely well-developed world that the writer does a fantastic job of developing, and I'm only 4/6 of the way through the first book.
So it's very good world building then.
Severely good world building. And there's a lot of things, like, it's a little, detrimental at first, because I started it last week, and it took me almost all week to get through the first 50 pages, because the first 50 pages are a lot of, like, you're meeting people, they're talking about shit that you don't know a damn thing about, they're using phrases and words you don't know anything about. It's a world that's like, yeah, we're going to talk the way this world is, and you as the reader are going to have to pick it up. Like, you're going to have to figure this out.
Big learning curve. Big
Sure.
learning curve then.
And one of my biggest gripes at the beginning of the book too was, like, there's so many characters whose names are, like, similar or close enough to each other, and they're all, like, different types of people, so you're like, wait, who's who, when, where?
Like Sauron and Saruman.
Sure, but yeah, there's Lan, but there's also Tam, and there's also
Damn.
Perrin, and there's Matt, and what's the main character's name? I should know his name. It's like Bran or something. It's something like that. Like, they're all very similar. So, like, that's a struggle the first 50 something or so pages. But once the story gets to kind of get to where it's going, oh man, I have just been in it reading probably about 100 or so pages a day since I hit, like, a certain point in the story. So that's really cool. I think the writer has a really good ability of making things, like, he describes everything to you so you know what you're reading, what you're seeing, what the location is, what's going on in the story, and you feel very comfortable in what's happening, and then all of a sudden, boom, action, like, something's happening, and you're like, what happened? Like, there's so many times I gotta, like, go back a couple sentences and be like, whoa, weren't we just chilling? There's a huge battle going on all of a sudden? What the fuck? The writer has a really good ability of just, like, getting you comfortable and then taking you out of your comfort zone really quick, while he's introducing, like I said, the magic system, the world, the towns, how the society works, all this shit. So good. So the story is basically, you're introduced to Rand. The main character's name is Rand al'Thor, and he's like a teenage boy that grew up in this farm town that's, like, at the corner of the continent of this world, and is far away from the rest of the goings-ons in the worlds and
Sounds
all
like the beginning of Black Clover.
Almost, sorta, but almost if, like, the Black Clover people didn't even know the Clover Kingdom was out there. Like, knew the kingdom was there, but didn't know that there was all this magical shit. Like, all the history and all the lore is all made up to where they live, but really just like if they left their town even a little, they'd realize, oh fuck, all this shit is real. So he like sees a figure on a horse at the beginning of the book, and you're like, what the fuck is that? And his dad doesn't see it, and then he gets to the town that they're heading to, and some of his friends have also seen this figure, but nobody believes them, and yada yada yada, all this shit that makes up the first 50 pages. But eventually these fucking Trollocs, which are these like half goat, half ogre monster people things, attack this kid and his dad at their house, and you're just in this epic fucking fight scene that starts off, and the kid's just like, what is going on? His dad's getting killed, he's getting killed. Neither of them actually die, but like it's just really intense out of nowhere, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? You then find out that like two of this kid's friends are also being targeted by these things because they were all born around the same time. So one of them might be destined to be chosen by this like dead dark lord from the breaking of the world at the beginning of time. And so they have to take these kids from this town to like get to this
chosen one prophecy.
Chosen one prophecy mixed with just like, once again, like the Gundam thing, you don't know who to trust. Like there's our main group of like kid characters, but like you're not really sure how to feel about any of the rest of the cast. Like there's this group of like, they're essentially like witches who are heroes. Like they fight the Dark One, but yet the society, like the world they live on, a lot of people despise these witches because they use like this
their own politics and stuff.
Yeah. So like this witch basically tells these kids like, come with us, we'll protect you. And she seems like a good character, but at any moment I wouldn't be surprised if she turns out to be evil as well. Like there's lots of layered yet trustworthy characters just in the first 400 pages of this book as they go on this adventure. And so many things have happened. I can't believe I'm only 400 of almost 700 pages. Like, there's been a lot of shit going on in one book.
Sounds like it.
But I'm digging it so far.
Very efficient. He's like a very efficient writer.
Maybe. A lot of people would disagree sometimes because I guess a lot of people think that he goes a little too much into details and things. But like, I'm just plowing through it. I don't even care. And as soon as I get comfortable with something normal, something crazy happens. And I'm just like at the edge of my seat again. Like, oh, can't put this book down. Which is good when you make a series that's 14 books that are all like 600 to 700 pages long.
I've heard it compared to Game of Thrones in its like world building aspects.
Yeah, if not
more.
Character
dynamics.
If not more. Like, I can't believe I still have 13 more books to read with information and probably places and different types of people to learn about. But I'm excited to do it. I'm really loving it so far. My plan is to finish this book by this week, and Jake, our friend Jake, he is a huge fan of this. Is one of his favorite book series. When I told him I started reading it, he told me he just had come. He was so excited. So
he's mentioned Wheel of Time to us before.
Yes, and he's the reason why I know the show sucks. So I'm gonna do a video with him once I finish this, and we're gonna talk shop, and I'm gonna put it up on our channel, and have me and him kind of talking about at least just the first book as I kind of read through these books, because it's wow. I love when a book just kind of takes me. I start a lot of books and never really finish them, but this one I'm just like so impressed with everything this character is capable, or this writer is capable of doing. Like there's so many characters, and they each have their own certain story arcs that they're going through. Like there was this one guy that, you know, he was just a regular, like one of the companions. He had an axe, yada yada, and then I don't know, they were like, well, what if he can also talk and communicate with wolves? And there's a race of people that can do that, and it's just like, okay, tell me more about that. Like, it's some great fantasy. I'm truly.
It's always been on my
it.
list of a list of like things that I want to read when I get back into reading. I've been looking for a book that can just capture me, to get my attention span back into the mode of reading.
Yeah.
Because once I get into like a phase of reading, I can read a lot. But then sometimes when I get out of it, it's difficult for me to get back in, especially if like a book I'm reading doesn't like hook me right away.
Yeah. And that could be the problem with this one. Like there's a prologue that's very just like, what the fuck is going on? And then the first, like I said, few chapters to be like, okay, who's who and what's what and what's going on? But if you can get past that first slump, like it immediately becomes so interesting. Like this guy really, he almost forces you to keep reading because you're just like, I gotta know what happens next. I gotta know what happens next. And just when you think you know where it's going, it kind of becomes a different story at times.
Now, was this the series that like the original author died and Brandon Sanderson had to finish it?
Yes, yes. So the original author wrote most of it and then left very extended notes. Like he was writing the final book when he died, and he was planning on the final book to be like humongous. And Brandon Sanderson ended up like turning it into 3 books. Like he took those notes, and because it was so much that it was just better done as 3 different books.
Yeah, and I heard he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard it's a pretty satisfying ending, which
And
is
so much so that I think they asked him to do a different series, but I think he declined.
yeah, hard to say. I know when I told Jake I was reading it, he recommended me another like one of that guy's like personal trilogies, so I might check that out down the road. I doubt I'll make it through all 14 of these books in like one session of reading through them. Like it's probably going to take me some time, but I at least want to read the first 3 or 4 to put my feet in the water.
Yeah, the basic stuff down.
Yeah, yeah, but really good book. And if you want something high fantasy with just original ideas and just great world building on the level of like I could see this becoming as well world built as One Piece, just because of how much they've established in a first book I'm not even done with.
Yeah, sounds like you have a lot more left to go.
I sure do.
Your journey's just begun.
I plan on finishing this one, the first book, at least by Friday, so see where I go from there.
Well, if you're 4th, 6th of the way through,
yeah,
if you have time, you could realistically knock that out. And
oh yeah, I've been reading like 100 pages a day, so there's about 200 pages left. I'll read, so by Friday afternoon I should be done with it. So really looking forward to it.
Out in an evening.
I have so many theories that I want to just look up, and I'm like, no, just read and wait and see if that's what happens. So we'll see. But
I know that's always the big issue with starting like a new like big series. It's like you want to look up like
the answers are out there.
Yeah, because the answers are out there, but then you're gonna like run into a bunch of spoilers.
So I just avoid them. I'm like, I want to look, but I'll wait. At least stuff that I think will be answered in the first book.
Yeah,
I'm trying to plow through it. But really good book. And that's what I've been up to, my man.
Good. Sounds like you've had a healthy heaping of nerd shit.
You as well. I was worried when we weren't gonna watch a movie that we wouldn't have enough.
Yeah. Well, besides the sex one, that's not very relatable to everyone else.
To anybody watching this. It kind of makes everybody feel bad, except for me.
Yeah.
Fuck. But that's fine. It's still content. We'll take it. It makes up an episode. And yeah, like I said, I was a little worried we weren't going to be able to fill time, but we filled time. So nice.
Almost 2 hours, yeah.
Yeah, after a bunch of... Braden and I had a lot of hiccups before this episode got to start, so thank God it went off without a hitch.
For sure.
For sure. With that, we've drug you all out, you shitters out long enough for another episode where we didn't really have a point. So thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for just listening to us talk into your ears.
Always. We want to make those ears feel really, really good. We want to stuff some nice, warm,
good, real smooth
shit right in those eardrums.
Oh, yeah.
You ever get just shit in your eardrums and you just want to pack it in?
Squeeze it right out.
It's like fudge packing with your ear. With your pinky in your ear. That's what I want this show to do to people. Yep. So if this show is doing it for you, subscribe, like, follow, whatever you're doing it on.
Worship, I don't know.
Yeah, whatever you're feeling. We got a new episode every 2 weeks is kind of what we've been doing, so keep an eye out. The YouTube channel's slowly growing. You can hear me talk about something divisive right now, or you can hear me talk about some good things later. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, his first video is thoughts on the Rings of Power. Second video will be his thoughts on the U.S. presidential election. So.
Yep. So that's the thing. I like to do things that people really either agree with me or just totally disagree.
It's good that it's controversial. That drives engagement. That's how our whole social media algorithms run right now.
I knew full well. I even play into it in that YouTube video where I made the the image on the YouTube. There's a picture from the new season where it's the guy playing Sauron, and there's like a bunch of people holding a sword up to him because he's like in trouble or being caught. So I just put my face on his body, and I was like, that's me right now. I'm saying I like the show, and these are all these people that are going to kill me for it. So, whatever. That's life. We're all different. But, yeah, a lot of work coming that way.
Yep.
Keep your eyes peeled. With that,
it's been
I guess...
lovely time, shitters.
It always is.
And I guess we can wish you a good night,
Sleep tight
and
and
don't
don't let
let
the shit
it
bugs
bite.
bite. And Brayden,
I love you.
he does love you. Good night.
Toodles.